Today we're going to look at Hydra and just do a beginner's guide on how to tackle this massive monster in Raid Shadow Legends. Hydra is a boss in Raid Shadow Legends. It is a daunting task. But then again, all of the bosses, clan boss, and anything big that you go in after seems like it's impossible in the very beginning. But as you continue to progress and you start to understand what's going on there, things get a lot easier. And there's no difference here with Hydra. Not that it's ever going to be easy, but once you understand what you're actually doing and what you're up against, it's a lot more manageable. Let's just say manageable, because it's not easy by any means. First though, make sure you subscribe here at YouTube. Turn on notifications so you never miss when a video goes live for Raid or any of the other content I make. Make sure you do subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it costs you nothing other than just a click of a button. All right, so Hydra. Hydra is a massive monster. It's not just one boss, but four. Basically, it's four bosses. It's four heads of a dragon, and you're tackling all four at the same time. And if you do get lucky enough to kill one of them, it respawns and we get another one in its place. And it's pretty random. There's only 6 heads, and they don't change. There's no new heads coming in or anything. It's just those 6. But what you have to deal with is the order of what those heads are coming in and what each one brings to the table. So you've got Decay, Blight, Suffering, Mischief, Torment, and Wrath. And each one does something a little bit different. Head of Decay is, in my opinion, the worst one to deal with. What it does is it's a debuffer, and it removes all debuffs from the head with the lowest HP, and then places a life barrier buff on them for 4 turns. That life barrier buff can't be removed or stolen, and that's a problem. Whenever any enemy champion, which is you, is healed, it decreases their max HP by 15% of the value of the heal. It's not a massive thing, but it does come into effect the more turns you put into it. It doesn't take much hit from poison. In fact, none of these heads really take much effect from poison, so you're going to kind of want to skip that whole thing and just go into it. Remember that every boss in Raid has an Achilles heel. They have a weak point. Clan boss, it's poison. Spider, it's HP burn. We just need to figure out exactly what the Achilles heel is for Hydra. And right now, like here, look, damage from skills that scale based on enemy max HP cannot exceed 10% of the head's max HP. Damage taken in one tick from HP burn cannot exceed 20,000 HP. But it does take damage from HP burn. Hint, that's the main weakness of these heads is HP burn. That's what you're going to need to come through with it. Let's see, what else do we have? Here is the Head of Torment. The Head of Torment attacks all enemies. When attacked by enemies not under Perfect Veil, places a true fear buff on them for 1 turn. So this is an issue as well. You don't want to go after Torment unless you're under a Veil. Which kind of sucks. So you're going to have to bring champions that can create veils for everybody. There's multiple champions that do it. Rectum Drath is one. Let's see. Attacks all enemies, places weaken debuff for 2 turns. Let's see what is next. Head of Mischief. This one's a weird one. It attacks the enemy with the most buffs. So if you're building buffs in your champions, you might want to have a buff target. Somebody that is automatically buffing themselves every turn they go. If you have someone in a ring that's going to create a shield every time they go, that may, if you only have one with the shield, It can make them the target. If you have somebody whose passive is automatically putting a buff on them every turn, that could make them a target because it would be one more than everybody else is getting. The head of Blight is the attacks all enemies, places poisons. It's the poisoning head. The decapitation effect inflicts damage to all heads under HP burn. Again, we're going back to the HP burn. It's blinding small, places a poison cloud buff on all Hydra heads for 2 turns. This buff cannot be removed or transferred. Again, it's HP burn. Head of Wrath decreases, attacks all enemies, places decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. It places a provoke, which is going to come into play. It's going to give you some serious problems. Again, it's 6 different heads you have to deal with. Decay, Blight, Suffering, Mischief, Torment, and Wrath. And once you understand what those 6 heads actually do and how to battle them, you're going to be in better shape. There are certain champions that will do really well in this and some that really don't bring anything to it. HP burn is definitely a big one. You need HP burn. Weaken will help. Decrease attack will help. But you're going to want to have a reviver or 2 in your team. You're going to need to, because there's 6 different heads, affinities really don't come into play that much, other than when you're using a specific champion attempting to target someone specifically within the Hydra. Then it can come into play. But you want to build around HP burn to basically give you the best attack. All right, so I've got a build here. We're going to go into it with Geo. We've got Maneater. We've got Rectum Draft coming in to place some veils on everybody. Ninja and Helicath. Basic build. Ninja was free. Helicath was a fusion. Most people have picked up Rectum Drath at some point. This really isn't any kind of a top tier team to come into this, but we're going to attempt to try to do everything we can to get our block damage in on our own. Use Maneater for the unkillable. Rectum Drath to keep everybody under a veil as much as we can. Geo to place as many HP burns down onto these guys as is possible to keep them under the HP burn as much as we can. There has to be high accuracy. They're going to block a lot of stuff. Make sure that you do have your buffs on as much as you can. But again, Veil, very important. HP burn, the most important tactic here. And make sure you build your team specifically. Now, in the beginning, this thing is just crazy difficult. The normal mode is the bottom mode. If you have a clan that has a lot of people that can put in anywhere from like 8 to 12 mil damage per turn on the normal, you're going to be able to take normal out and move up the ranks. It seems crazy in the beginning, but as you start to understand what you can do and what the rotation comes into play, it does get a bit easier. Now, one other thing I want to mention is if you look at Ninja on the far right, he does have a green buff that shows the teeth. Now, what that is, he's targeted to be eaten, which is kind of strange on top of it because you know it's coming. You can count it down. Now, when he does get eaten, you can target the head that ate him, and it pops up and shows you how much damage you have to do to get him to basically spit him out, which is the whole point of this. You don't want to lose champions to being eaten because then they're gone. They've been digested. They are in the Hydra's belly, and once they're in his belly, they're not coming back out. If he's in his throat and he's fighting, and you can basically smack the shit out of the Hydra a little bit, he will spit it back out like a dog who grabs something he wasn't supposed to. If you've ever had pizza on the coffee table and the dog reaches for it and he gets you pissed, don't smack your dog. But it is pizza. All right, get ready. He's going to target, and I can't see what the number is. It's got to be close. Get ready. Not yet. Who's going to devour? There he goes. Okay, so now we have him in. We can target. The only problem is that everything's going to disappear beyond this. We've got to get that green bar down before his digestion is complete. When you get eaten in the beginning, like here in the first 50 turns or whatever, there's a pretty high number that you can on the digestion before he will actually be gone forever. The higher you go, boss turn count 90 and above, that digestion number goes way down and gets to be much, much smaller, and it's a lot more difficult to keep the champion out. You definitely need some heavy damage. There are some good champions to use here for damage across everybody. Royal Guard, which I don't have in this team, is spectacular for Hydra if you have him fully booked and ready to place his all enemy attack down. It does do a bit of difference here, but again, remember, you've got 3 keys. You cannot reuse a champion in your second or third key after the first. There, we got Ninja back. He did spit him out, and he died. That's why the reviver comes into play. Again, I want to see what happens. We're going to take one of these heads out and show you when the head does go down. When you do knock one of the heads off the Hydra, it does deal damage to everybody else, and it does give you a window of opportunity to come in with some heavy damage on everybody once a head goes down. We're close here. The head, there, it's exploded, and now he goes to infinite damage, but at this point you can do some serious put some serious hurt on everybody. Now I do have this running on auto. I'm not doing anything special here. We're just letting it build and take on its own attack. Looks like we're going to actually have 2 heads down here in a second, which is going to make things a lot easier. But they are going to regenerate, and we're going to get new heads coming in. And come on, where's the second head? There. Nope. Yeah, 2 heads are gone. We'll skip ahead here a little bit just to see how this ends up. All right, we're out 163 turns. We're only down to a couple of champions. This is going to be about the limit on this. Again, HP burn is the most important tactic that you're going to need to bring here. Reviver, make sure you have some veils. Pay attention to where who is being targeted to be eaten, and do what you can. 12.64 on normal. It's not spectacular, but it's definitely a jumping point. That's the first key. Got 2 more keys. Again, Hydra, really difficult, but once you start to understand what you have to do here to get the most out of it, I think you're going to be much better off than you ever gave yourself credit for. That's it. I hope that helped. Take some of those little tips and see what you can do for your own Hydra team. If you got questions, put it on the comments. Make sure you follow along on Twitch, where we do live stream raid as much as humanly possible. Thanks a lot for hanging out. Make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to click that button. It does make a big difference. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. As long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making videos.